The topic for today: Will Dominion's $1 billion lawsuit against Fox bankrupt Fox? Stay tuned right after this. Welcome to the Defiant Lawyers. I'm attorney Chloe Corbett, also known as the Duchess of Justice, and with me I have
Attorney Augustus Corbett, aka the Minister of Justice.
As you all know, we are the Defiant Lawyers. We provide legal analysis of trending politics, policies, personalities, and pop culture to empower you all to defy this unjust legal system. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a very juicy topic that we are going to take a deep dive into, that we are going to analyze completely. Remember, this is a legal channel. We are practicing licensed attorneys, and we are going to provide you all of the juicy legal tidbits that you need to know about this Dominion lawsuit against Fox News and others. Dad, what's up? How are you?
What is going on, Chloe? I am excited about getting into this particular lawsuit. I believe this is a blockbuster. This is a very, very, very big deal. It has all the makings of a legal thriller. First, it involves a former president. Then it involves one of the most successful, what do you call it, news channels. Um, it also involves some big personalities and a lot of alleged scandal and money and so forth. This is big. I've been looking forward to talking about this.
It almost sounds like a John Grisham book. John Grisham, he is known for his legal thrillers. I've read 30 plus of them, but it's real life, and the ramifications are huge, especially in the media sphere in terms of the First Amendment and others. So, Dad, as I said at the top, we're going to be discussing Dominion's $1 billion lawsuit against Fox. Can you put the next slide up for us? So these are all of the players that this lawsuit involves. You can see Rupert Murdoch up there in the top, my top right. He is the head honcho, the CEO of Fox News. You see Sidney Powell, the bottom left. She's an attorney who represented President Trump formerly. You see Mike Lindell, who's the Pillow CEO. You see Rudy Giuliani, former governor of New York, former attorney for President Trump. Lou Dobbs, Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, and Laura Ingraham.
Yeah, I heard
Yes.
somebody say the pronunciation of her correct name is really Laura Ingraham. So however you want to say.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, Laura is up there as well. So she's involved in this lawsuit too. So these are some of the top head honchos and top news personality and commentators at Fox, as well as two former attorneys. Well, one former attorney and another former attorney representing Trump, as well as a CEO. So there's a lot of juicy tidbits to this. That
And you say former attorney because did Rudy lose his law license?
I believe that he did. I believe New York board, yes, took his law license away from him.
And Sidney Powell, she's actually licensed here in Texas, and I believe I read that a judge dismissed the state bar's complaint against her. I think that's true. I'm not certain about that. Our listening audience sometimes will go in if we get the smallest tidbit wrong, but we're not. We're not we don't know all the facts, just what we read. So if we get something wrong, you all just keep it moving.
Yes. Before we get into further with this lawsuit, we do have a disclaimer that we want to read and put up on the screen as well.
Yeah, very important.
Yes. Can you call out that disclaimer, the language that?
Yes, absolutely. All the claims in this matter against the defendants are allegations and have not been proven or admitted as true in a court of law. Our presentation of these allegations is not to suggest or infer that the allegations are true and defendants are liable. We present these allegations and respective responses for informational purposes only.
Yeah, we got to put that disclaimer out there so everyone knows that what is in this complaint by Dominion against Fox and the other defendants are merely allegations. Nothing has been proven true. They have not presented these allegations or any evidence in a court of law in front of a jury or a judge. So these are just allegations that Dominion has put in its complaint to start this lawsuit and start the lawsuit in the litigation process. So that our disclaimer.
And I would
Want to get in?
also say, I'm sorry, Chloe, go ahead and finish.
No, I was going to say I'm ready to get into it.
I would also say that we're not taking sides here. We're not taking political sides. We're going to just go through the complaint, not in depth, because the Dominion complaint is very long and very detailed. So obviously, we don't have time to go through it in that depth, as well as the motions and responses that Fox has also filed, and then some of the other attorneys. We're not going to get into the depths of that as well. So we're going to keep it really, really on the surface. And another reason for that is because it's developing. I mean, they are scheduled to go to trial soon, but they're in the process of litigating. They're taking depositions. They're filing motions, and so it's not we're not at the finish line with this, and facts are going to continue to keep coming out.
Yeah. So take that into mind as well as we go through this. So let's talk about the plaintiffs. Who are the supposed injured parties? That's who plaintiffs are. When a person claims that they are injured, they file a lawsuit against the party who they're claiming injured them, and they are known as the plaintiffs in that lawsuit. In this case, the plaintiff is US Dominion Incorporation, and Dominion is a voting machine company that has been divided in various subsidiaries, which we pointed out here. One of those is Dominion Voting Systems Corporation, Incorporated, and then another is Dominion Voting Systems Corporation. So those are the plaintiffs in this lawsuit against Fox News and others. And if you all remember, during the 2020 elections, Dominion was one of the voting machine companies that millions of people casted their votes for in the presidential election between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. So they were in that theme because millions of you all who are listening in this country used Dominion to cast your vote in that election. And that's what this comes down to. That's what this lawsuit is about. Anything you want to add to that, Dad?
No, I have much more to say here as we move on, but no, that's good for now.
So Dominion, they filed two separate lawsuits, you all. They filed a lawsuit in federal court against Sidney Powell, Mike Lindell, and Rudy Giuliani. And they filed a state lawsuit, a state defamation lawsuit against Fox News Corporation and others. So there are two big lawsuits that Dominion has filed against these defendants. And as you can see here on the screen, some of the defendants are Fox Corporation, Fox News Network, Newsmax Media Incorporated, One America News Network, Patrick
I think
Byrne,
Burn, yeah.
and others. So that is the start of this lawsuit. Those are
And
the plaintiffs.
and by the way, Fox is also facing a lawsuit. I don't think it's been dismissed by another company claiming defamation. And I believe the name of that company is Smartmatics, and
Mm.
it's like a $2 billion lawsuit. So Fox is facing both of these lawsuits that exceed $1 billion.
That's why our question at the top of the hour is, will this lawsuit and potentially the other lawsuit bankrupt Fox? We know that Fox has a lot of listeners and viewers. Fox is one of the bigger news networks in the entire world. Its viewership, I believe, is the largest of all of the major news corporations. But hey, its coffers are limited. And these are huge lawsuits against it. And we're going to get into detail later. Not only will the question that we're posing is, will it bankrupt Fox? But what about Fox's reputation with its viewers? Those people that sit down hours upon hours and believe Fox and believe their journalists and their commentators. What is this effect of this lawsuit on those viewers that, and we're going to get into this, according to Dominion, Fox was trying to do whatever it could to keep those viewers, aka the money, in its pockets. So we covered the plaintiffs, Dad. Let's talk about the defendants more. We've said it over and over again. Um, but the defendants in the state law case, the defamation case, is Fox Corporation. And Fox Corporation is the parent company. And there are various subsidiaries under Fox Corporation that Dominion tried to sue.
Let,
So
let,
as you all can.
let me add
Mhm.
here, Chloe. Let me add here that in one of its filings, Dominion initially started out with Fox Corporation, but then it made a filing where it tried to extend liability to Fox Broadcasting and Fox News Network LLC. And the judge denied their motion to extend liability to Fox Broadcasting, but the judge did extend liability to Fox News Network. So as it stands right now, there are two defendants here, Fox Corporation and Fox News Network. And as you were about to say and explain, under Fox News Network LLC, there are a bunch of these TV shows that we see, um, every evening, every day on the Fox channel.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them. I mean, that includes, Fox News Channel, the Fox Business Channel. Fox News has a radio, the digital content for Fox News, Fox.com, which I know gets a lot of views and clicks, foxnews.com, as well as the foxbusiness.com website. So Fox News Network LLC has a lot of channels and information companies underneath it that a lot of people get their news from. Even though the judge kicked out Fox Broadcasting, there's other implication for those news channels and others. So this is interesting, guys. This is huge. This is huge. The fact that Dominion, that's before the 2020 election. I mean, who heard of Dominion? I know I did not. And they were a pretty under the cover voting machine company. I read up on the history of Dominion. They're actually a Canadian company, but they first started putting their voting machines in New York State. And I believe that Dominion's voting machines are in every election cycle out of New York State. And then from New York, they expanded to over 30 states in the US. And they were able to get contracts in order to be voting machines for a large majority of states for the 2020 presidential election. So they have grown, significantly. And, you know, obviously that hurts their bottom lines if there's allegations that Dominion's voting machines were used to um, improperly favor Joe Biden were malfunctioning, have some connection with Venezuela, etc. So we'll get into that as we continue with this broadcast.
All right, very good. I think one of the questions that people have is why Dominion filed some of its suits in state court and others in federal court. Now, let me say this. Our channel is dedicated to taking trending policies, politics, personalities, and pop culture and use them to provide a legal analysis. So that's the difference in our channel. We're not talking heads and pundits who are trying to entertain you. We're actually taking these stories and trying to teach you, trying to inform you about the law, so that you'll be empowered. Um, we love and are fascinated by the law, and we love sharing it. We love practicing it, and we also love sharing it. So we get more in depth, more in detail um, than a lot of the legal YouTube channels that I've seen. Okay. All right. So with that said, let's go over here um, back to the slides. So why Dominion filed some of its suits in state court and others in federal court? Well, they didn't go to federal court with Fox because two things are required, or pardon me, one of these two things is required. Either there has to be a federal question, or there has to be complete diversity. And there was neither against Fox. There was complete diversity against their federal suits, Dominion's federal suits against Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani, and Mike Lindell and MyPillow.com. But there was not complete diversity between Dominion and Fox News Network LLC. And very briefly, in order for federal question jurisdiction to exist, the cause of action must arise under federal law. So defamation per se is not necessarily federal law. Okay, um, so there was not a federal question. And as we said, the other way to get into the federal courthouse is through diversity jurisdiction. And there is diversity jurisdiction when the amount in controversy exceeds $75,000. That exists, but that's not the only thing. And there is complete diversity of citizenship between the defendants and the plaintiffs. That does not exist. Complete diversity of citizenship occurs when no plaintiff and defendant are domiciled in the same state. And Fox News, as well as Dominion, are domiciled in the same state. So therefore, there's not complete diversity.
And when you talk about diversity, that people saw citizenship on the screen, they might wonder, well, Fox News is a corporation. How can a corporation have citizenship? Well, in this country, according to rulings from the United States Supreme Court, corporations are seen as people. And so, therefore, corporations can be citizens of various states and have residency in various jurisdictions. So, because of that, diversity jurisdiction and the citizenship of that applies to people applies to corporations as well, because the law has determined that corporations are people under the law, and therefore they have certain rights under the law as well. And I remember when I studied that in law school, I was actually surprised to hear that. Like, how it didn't make any sense. How can a corporation be a person and have citizenship? But the Supreme Court has said, in terms of litigation, in terms of where to file lawsuits against corporations, some of the same rights that we have as American citizens, where a court must have jurisdiction over us in order to hear the case against us or by us, applies to corporations as well. And that's why citizenship apply to it, even though it's a corporation too.
Very good. You froze up there for a second, but I think we got the gist of that. Um, that was a very good explanation. I appreciate that. Um, so, another question that may arise here is, why did Dominion file its lawsuit against Fox and Fox subsidiary in the state of Delaware? And the answer to that is because of what we call as proper venue. Venue. Jurisdiction has to do with whether the court has authority over someone or something, whereas venue has to do with where is the proper place to bring the lawsuit. So when it's a corporation, as Chloe explained earlier, since corporations are seen and viewed as people, the question becomes, where does the corporation reside? What state is the corporation a citizen? So, since Fox News is a corporation, the question becomes, where is Fox News and Fox News Network a citizen? What state? So um, we look to the red language in this slide. It says, defendant is subject to the court's personal jurisdiction with respect to the civil action in question, and if a plaintiff, only in the only in the judicial district in which it maintains its principal place of business. And under 28 USC A section 1332C, a corporation shall be deemed to be a citizen of every state and foreign state by which it has been incorporated, and of the state or foreign state where it has its principal place of business. That would be the state of Delaware for both Dominion and Fox News. So that is the reason why Dominion filed its lawsuit in the state of Delaware.
Yeah, and Delaware is an interesting state as well. A lot of corporations and businesses incorporate in Delaware. I believe because of its tax code, and its favorable tax status for businesses and corporations. So it's like, Delaware is this little tiny state in the Northeast. Why are these corporations incorporated out there or have their principal place of business out there? It's because they get favorable tax status. So I always found that interesting as well. Why so many companies are incorporated in Delaware.
Okay, so Chloe, I guess we'll move on now, having shared that preliminary but very important information. Because if you file in the wrong court, if you should be in state court and you're in federal court, or if you file in federal court and should be in state court, or if you file in the wrong federal or state court, you can get your case thrown out. So lawyers have to do their due diligence up front and make sure they've filed in the proper place. All right.
This is literally what we have to do before we file a lawsuit. Was especially if the as plaintiffs attorneys, if the defendants are corporations, and we sue corporations all the time. We handle civil rights cases. Banking while black, a bank is a corporation. So we have to determine what the jurisdiction of the corporation is, where their citizenship status is, which court has jurisdiction, what is the proper venue, what court is the proper place to file the lawsuit. So everything that we went through is literally what we have to determine on every single case when we decide to litigate a case, especially against a corporation, but even an individual as well. So this is very important information that we're disseminating to you all.
All right. So now let's go to the actual complaint,
The juicy stuff.
the good stuff. So
Good stuff.
this is the complaint that Dominion filed against Fox News Network, and later it added Fox Corporation, um, and it tried, as I said, to add Fox Broadcasting. So actually, I had it wrong earlier. I think out the chute, Dominion sued Fox News Network based on this complaint, and then it filed a motion to extend liability to Fox News Network parent company, Fox Corporation, and Fox Broadcasting. But the judge denied the Fox Broadcasting and, however, extended liability to Fox Corporation. All right, so so this begins to read, and we're going to kind of go through some of this. Okay. And yes, by the way, let me say this. If we end up having to go off the air, there is a national tornado watch here in the DFW area, and you don't play with tornadoes in Texas. Okay.
Mm-mm.
They are bad, 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 bad things. So we're actually shooting while there's a tornado watch. So if we have to get off quickly, I promise you we'll come back once the weather clears up. Probably not today, and finish up. Um, but hopefully we can get through this. So I just wanted to say that. All right, the complaint. All right, so it reads Fox, one of the most powerful media companies in the United States, gave life to a manufactured, you know what? This statement is so big. Let me, um, let me make the, hold on. I
And
want to,
for those of you all who don't know, the complaint is the lawsuit that Dominion filed against Fox News. Okay. This is where Dominion is listing out its allegations and is asking the court for various relief. That's what the complaint is.
yes. So Dominion says Fox, one of the most powerful media companies in the United States, gave life to a manufactured storyline about election fraud that cast a then little known voting machine company called Dominion as the villain. So Dominion comes right out of the chute and says Fox News made us look like pure villains based on alleged lies. Okay. Um, and you notice that this said, let's go back, a little known, little known voting machine company called Dominion. And Chloe, what you pointed out earlier about you never heard of Dominion is really an important part of their case because they operated in obscurity. They operated behind the scenes. Nobody knew anything about them. Yet, when they got introduced to the national psyche, it was as this company that committed fraud with Venezuela and all kinds of stuff. And so that's a huge part of their claim, actually.
Yeah. And look, for those of you all who may not know, the election fraud that Dominion is referring to is the presidential election from 2020 between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, in which Donald Trump lost, and Donald Trump and um, his team, in conjunction allegedly with Fox News, started saying that there was some type of fraud in the election, which is what caused Donald Trump's election and presidential loss. That's what Dominion is referring to when they say election fraud in which they were cast as the villain.
All right. Let's go back to the complaint. And the reason we're reading the complaint is because we're not trying to give you our opinion. This is what are actually in the court filings. All right. So Dominion goes on and says the November 3rd, 2020 presidential election, viewers began fleeing Fox in favor of media outlets endorsing the lie that massive fraud caused President Trump to lose the election. They saw Fox as insufficiently supportive of President Trump, including because Fox was the first network to declare that President Trump lost Arizona. So Fox set out to lure viewers back, including President Trump himself, by intentionally and falsely blaming Dominion for President Trump's loss by rigging the election. Fox endorsed, repeated, and broadcast a series of verifiably false yet devastating lies about Dominion. These outlandish, defamatory, and far-fetched fictions included Fox falsely claiming that Dominion committed election fraud by rigging the 2020 presidential election. Number two, Dominion software and algorithms manipulated vote counts in the 2020 presidential election. Three, Dominion is owned by a company founded in Venezuela to rig elections for the dictator Hugo Chavez. And four, Dominion paid kickbacks to government officials who used its machines in the 2020 presidential election. Now, Chloe, I want to go back to the previous page, and I want to call attention to this very first paragraph. Okay? This very first paragraph right here. So, according to Dominion, November 3rd, the night of the election, Fox viewers began fleeing Fox in favor of media outlets endorsing the lie that massive fraud caused President Trump to lose the election. Those viewers, those Fox viewers, saw Fox as insufficiently supportive of President Trump, including because Fox was the first network to declare that President Trump lost Arizona. So Fox set out to lure viewers back, including Trump, by intentionally and falsely blaming Dominion for President Trump's loss by rigging the election. What I can say there is, wow. 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 Wow, 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 wow. Why am I wowing here? I'm wowing because Dominion says, okay, Dominion says Fox viewers apparently had sort of bought into former President Trump's narrative that he either win or he was cheated. So since Fox News, of all people, of all companies, called Arizona, which is a battleground state, for Biden, Fox viewers said, well, bye-bye, we're going over to some other network because you all you all are reporting that former President Trump lost the election, and he really didn't. What really happened is this company, Dominion, is in cahoots with Chavez and is doing all sorts of things to steal this election from Trump. Wow. So Fox, according to Dominion, made a call that night and said, okay, we got to go with this lie. We got to go with this lie, and we got to start lying on Dominion to get those viewers back. Why? Because of cha-ching, because of the money. According to Dominion, these are allegations. Haven't been true, although there have been some admissions that, kind of cause someone to say, okay, they may be telling the truth here. So, even Rupert Murdoch, we're going to see later, made some statements in a deposition that make you scratch your head. But Chloe, wow.
Yeah. What stood out to me about what we just read is one, Dominion listed what they believe is the why Fox News told those lies, defamed Dominion. And they said because Fox News viewers were leaving, and they specifically say later to go to Newsmax or I think One News Network. And Fox News wanted to get those viewers back because the more viewers that watch Fox News, the more ads that Fox gets, and the more ad money that Fox gets, meaning they get more money the more viewers that they have. And so they list the why out first, and then they list what they claim are the lies, the defamatory lies that Fox said against Dominion, and we just read them there. Can we go back to the other page?
Okay.
The page before this one that starts with number one of the lies,
Okay. The alleged lies.
the alleged lies. So again, Dominion is alleging that Fox News allegedly said lies that said that Dominion committed election fraud, that Dominion software manipulated votes, that Dominion is owned by a company out of Venezuela, and that Dominion was working with government officials to rig the election laws. To rig the election laws in states where Dominion's voting machines are. So they list out specifically what they believe are the defamatory lies that Fox falsely claimed against them. That's where the defamation comes in as well. And we'll get to that in more detail later in the complaint.
Right. And so you may be saying, why are these lawyers today using the word allegedly so much? Because we don't want to be accused of doing what Dominion is accusing Fox of doing. Okay. Defamation is not just the person who makes the defaming comments, but everyone who subsequently publishes those defamatory comments, right? So Chloe and I, we are publishing the allegations that Dominion is making or has made against Fox. If it turns out they're wrong, Fox can say, well, everyone who took what Dominion said and repeated it and published it and so forth defamed us, and we're going to sue them. That's why we repeatedly say that these are alleged lies that Dominion has put out there toward Fox.
Yeah. It's important for us to say that, and that's why we gave the disclaimer at the beginning of the video as well.
Yep.
So let's move on in the next part of the complaint, Dominion's complaint against Fox.
Okay.
It's $1 billion complaint against Fox.
It's over 1 billion, actually.
Right, over 1 billion.
Yeah, almost 2. All right, so the next page, right?
Yeah.
Now I gotta
So
call this out, Chloe.
yeah.
That's huge.
Yep. As you all can see, Dominion is alleging that Fox recklessly disregarded the truth. I mean, these are strong statements and allegations, to accuse a media company. You know, the role of media generally in this country is to report the truth and
The
to
objective,
bring it to
the
the
objective
masses,
truth.
the objective truth.
That's right.
So Dominion is really hitting at Fox at its core, being a media company. I mean,
And
that is big.
yes, and also Dominion said this statement um, because if what Fox News said is true, that defeats Dominion's defamation lawsuit. So Dominion has to. This is a strong defense against defamation. If someone says something about someone that is true, even though it has caused that person's reputation some harm, that's not defamation. So Dominion is making it very clear that Fox is not telling the truth when it says that we were a part of some conspiracy to steal this election from former President Trump. So yes, as Chloe said, number one, you expect media companies to um, be truthful. I mean, that's what you expect. But this is also important because legally, if Fox is telling the truth about Dominion, then the case is over. It's over
Yeah.
before it starts. All right, so we'll go back here, Chloe, to the complaint.
So point 3, Dominion alleges Fox recklessly disregarded the truth. They go on to say, indeed, Fox knew these statements about Dominion were lies. Again, they have to reach that. They have to try to prove that Fox were telling lies as a part of the defamation. They say specifically, Fox knew the vote tallies from Dominion machines could easily be confirmed by independent audits and hand recounts of paper ballots, as has been done repeatedly since the election. Fox also knew that these lies were being rebutted by an increasingly long list of bipartisan election officials, election security experts, judges, then Attorney General Bill Barr, a Republican under a Republican administration, then United States Director of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, Chris Krebs, Election Assistant Commissioner Ben Hovland, Republican Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, Republican Georgia Secretary of the State Brad Raffensperger, and they go on. So here they're just saying that they're alleging that Fox knew that the vote tallies from um, Dominion could be independently audited, and according to Dominion, they had been independently audited by this bipartisan list of election officials and other people that you see named in this complaint. So
Well,
again, they're trying to hit back at Fox.
can we bring up this list of people here? I think this is pretty significant because these are um, these are Republicans.
Yeah.
I mean,
Most people will probably be familiar with Brian Kemp because of the whole tape that was released where President Trump allegedly said that, can you get me a few more votes in Georgia?
right, and that call was made to, I believe, Brad Raffensperger uh, directly when he said when we heard that with our own ears, where former President Trump said, "I need 11,000 or so votes." Chris Krebs, he was this director of cybersecurity. He came out and said it was the most secure election in American history. I mean, and of course, AG Bill Barr was completely, totally supportive of former President Trump, and he came out and said, "This is, um, you know, not true."
Mm. Let's go on to number 5 too, Dad. Uh,
Okay.
the way that Dominion wrote this complaint, it really is like a legal thriller, the way they wrote it. Oh, did I skip number 4?
No, you read all of it to the bottom. Now we're at the bottom of number 4 at the top of this page.
Okay, number 5. Dominion alleges again, this is the complaint that Dominion filed in state court, state
Chlo-
court against Fox
Chloe, can
News.
you read? Can you finish reading number 4? Or let's go back and we okay, yeah, completely skipped over 4. So let's go back and read 4 because it's juicy.
Okay. Dominion alleges Fox likewise knew there was no evidence whatsoever to support the Venezuela or quote kickback claims, the latter of which was obviously manufactured whole cloth in an effort to discredit Republicans who undermined the false election rigging claim by verifying the vote counts from Dominion machines. Yet, even after Fox was put on specific written notice of the facts, it stuck to the inherently improbable and demonstrably false preconceived narrative and continued broadcasting the lies of facially unreliable sources, which were embraced by Fox's own on-air personalities because the lies were good for Fox's business. Wow.
Wow.
That was a mouthful. They said a lot. They said a lot. Um Basically what Dominion is alleging here is that Fox knew that there was no evidence of any Venezuela kickbacks. They wanted to focus on Venezuela to distract from the fact that there were Republicans, some of which who we named before, who came out and said, no, this was a fair election and Dominion's, we audited Dominion's vote tally records and there's no evidence of election fraud. So instead of focusing on that, Dominion is alleging that Fox brought up these Venezuela kickback claims to distract its viewers from the Republicans that came out in support of the election fairness.
Chloe, can I
All for Fox's business.
all for business purposes. Can I
Right.
let me say something because we have a commenter. If it's the commenter that I believe it is, um, he wrote here. If it's the guy I think it is, he said, "Hello, Chloe. Oh, hello, Chloe. Love." And he says, "Oh, and Mr. Augustus, Dad." Laugh out loud. Just kidding, guys. I'm listening. Now, I wanted to just bring him out because in the comments, he said, Chloe is nice. She knows what she's talking about, but the guy, he's not, he doesn't seem friendly. He doesn't seem like a nice guy. And he needs to just let Chloe talk because Chloe knows what she's talking about. And no, this is literally what he said. And I saw the comment and got really tickled. And I also said, I wrote back and said, if this is the right guy, I wrote back and said, you are absolutely correct that Chloe is the rose and I am that thorn. And yeah, I have. Yeah, I have been interrupting her all her life because I'm her father. And I don't think you knew I was your dad. And and he said later on, he said, subscribing because of Chloe. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's
Uh,
good.
We're a
Yes.
team, guys, and I can be a little thorny too. You all may not know that. But it can come out. But thank you for that comment and thank you for joining us again. We
Yes.
love that.
Thank you,
If you
Rodney. We appreciate your comment and
Yes.
engagement and so forth. Thank you for being a part of our channel.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry for interrupting you,
So
Chloe, by the way.
no, no, I that was this is the back and forth, the interruptions, that is what makes this interesting. Or else it'd just be us monologuing and I mean, that's not what I'm sure our viewers come here. They want us to have a conversation and have a back and forth. That's what we do as lawyers. So yeah, Dad. I mean, those were that's some more claims that Dominion had against Fox, basically making all they're alleging that Fox was making all of these outrageous claims to distract from the fact that Republicans came out and supported that, Dominion was playing fair game with the election. So, and if you go to number 5, I don't know if we want to put that back on the screen. Dominion goes on to say that Fox took a small flame and turned it into a forest fire. I mean, look at that language. Very expressive language, very visual language. They go on to say, as the dominant media company among those viewers dissatisfied with the election results, Fox gave these fictions a prominence they otherwise would never have achieved. I don't know about that. There is social media, there's independent media companies and other media companies. So I don't know if I give Dominion all of that, but let's go on. They say with Fox's global platform, an audience of hundreds of millions, and the inevitable and extensive republication and decimation of the falsehoods through social media, these lies deeply damage Dominion's once thriving business. Dominion is a voting machine company that was founded in 2002 in John Poulis's basement. Poulis's objective of accurate, transparent, and accessible elections motivated him to create Dominion. He went on to build what was until recently one of the fastest growing technology companies in North America. So they finished numbers 5 to say while Dominion was known within the voting machine industry and supplied machines in 28 states, it was little known to the public at large. I would agree with that. Like I said at the top of the hour, I had never heard of Dominion. Dad, I don't think most people had, unless like Dominion is saying that you were in the voting machine industry. But I have to push back at Dominion a little bit. If we can go back to the previous slide, Dad, if you can highlight the second sentence. I want to bring this up.
The second sentence from the very top.
I'm from section 5.
Okay. The second as let me just get okay.
Yeah, as the dominant media company.
As the okay. Got you.
There we go. So, as the dominant media company among those viewers dissatisfied with the election results, Fox gave those fictions a prominence they otherwise would never have achieved. I have to push back against Dominion against this. Again, these are allegations that Dominion has to prove. They put this in their complaint. But I don't necessarily agree with them that if Fox had not made these reports about alleged election fraud, that they would not have gotten attention from other media company, from social media that are independent of media company, online and otherwise. So, I think that may be a bit of a stretch about what Dominion is saying here. What are your thoughts about that, Dad?
It's a good point. You know, there are other none as big as Fox. I mean, Fox is one of the largest cable news networks, cable news shows in the country, in the world, actually. And some of its on air personalities are, the number one um, talking heads, quite frankly. Um, so I can see why they said that, but I understand your point as well. There are so many other different ways to get narratives out there. There are other less known, smaller cable news outlets who have very large audiences through social media. Facebook, you can reach billions of people through Facebook and other places. So I see your point. I see your point. Um, but I also see Dominion's point that, Fox kind of, is the go to place for folks who are more likely to support former President Trump.
Yeah. And that's what Fox, I mean, Dominion's lawyers are going to argue, I'm sure, at the trial. But if I were representing Fox, I will point that out. You know, yes, we may have a big viewership, but there's social media, there's independent channels, there's YouTube, etc., that could have got this information out.
Yeah.
So
All right.
prove it, Dominion. You making all these allegations, prove it.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, Now, so we got the gist of what Dominion says. Let's see what
Yeah.
Fox News, in fairness, let's see what Fox's defenses are. So, Fox filed a 12B6 motion um, in the Delaware Superior Court, and it sort of lays out what they believe is their best defense against this defamatory allegation. And by the way, uh, apparently I was wrong. It wasn't Rodney Williams who made the comments before. He said it wasn't me. Mr. Williams, I apologize, but it's still a funny story, right? I mean, it's just a really funny story. But again, thank you for being a part of our community. Okay, so let's now see what Fox News had to say about this Dominion lawsuit.
And what we just went through, guys, was literally like the first 2 pages. Dominion's complaint was over 300 pages plus. So that was just a small tidbit.
Yes.
But now let's see what let's see
Well,
Fox's side.
actually, Chloe, there are a couple of things I think we need to read before we go to Fox's response, like exactly what cause of action Dominion alleged and what they're asking for, what they're literally asking for. And then we'll go to Fox.
Okay.
All right, so Fox, pardon me, Dominion, count one, and it's the only count in this lawsuit, defamation per se. So that's what they are. That's their cause of action. That's why they're filing. That's why they file suit. So 178, line 178 says, Dominion repeats and realleges paragraphs 1 through 177 as if set forth fully herein. Fox published the following false and defamatory statements of fact about Dominion, including by and through Fox's own agents making the statements. We don't have to read that. That's again, I want you to see that their cause of action specifically is defamation per se, and because they believe they were defamed, we see here what Dominion believes their damages are, and they are huge, huge. So they're asking, or they intend to ask the jury, or they believe that they should be awarded one, lost profits of not less than $600 million. $600 million. Lost
Mm,
enterprise value of not less than $1 billion. Security expenses of not less than $600,000. And that's because I heard the CEO, John Poulos, say that employees, himself, his family, employees' families, had to hire security as a result of the allegations made against them. They were getting death threats and so forth. And expenses incurred combating the disinformation campaign of not less than $700,000. Okay, so they spent a lot of money trying to say to the public, no, 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 these are lies. This didn't happen. This didn't happen. So this is over $1.6 billion are the damages that they're asking for. And also here, they're asking for punitive damages. Okay, so not just the 1.6. They're asking, or they intend to ask the jury to punish Fox for defaming them. And I mean that limit that could be more than the compensatory damages that they're asking for. And they're also asking for pre and post judgment interest. So they're asking add interest, whatever you all decide to give us, add pre interest and post interest to that. And all expenses and costs, including attorney's fees, and whatever other relief the court deems appropriate. So they are asking for a bite, and that is the reason that's the reason why um, that's the reason why we entitled this, Will the Dominion $1 billion lawsuit against Fox bankrupt it? I mean, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. And so that's why this is a big case. This is one of the biggest defamation cases in American history. And because it involves the former president and it involves this, again, this big, big cable news outlet and Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor, they used to call him, and all these other folks, Tucker Carlson, who I believe is like the largest um, talking head on TV. This is a really, really, really big deal, and it involves a lot of money. It may not be getting a lot of attention. It may not be as juicy as some celebrity this or some celebrity that, but this is very big, you all. That's why we're going through it the way we're going through it.
yeah, and Dominion has to prove those damages as well, and so they have to prove, that they lost profits in the tune to 600 million. They have to prove that their enterprise value, which is basically the value of their company, was over 1 billion. They have to prove the punitive damages and everything else as well. So, just because Dominion asked for it doesn't mean they're going to get it. They're going to have to put some experts on the stand to talk about the profits that they lost, talk about the value of their business. They're going to have to put something before the court in order to prove the damages too. So I am interested to see how they do that. How they prove the defamation, and then two, how they prove the damages at trial whenever it goes to trial as well.
Okay, so let's hear from Fox. Let's hear from Fox.
Yes.
So Fox filed a 12B6 motion. That was their response. Their response was basically a 12B6 motion basically says even if, and we see, let me do this. So they essentially say in their motion, they're saying, Judge, Even if what they say is true, even if we did say some things that weren't true, or even if we did try to get our viewers back, even if those things are true, they still fail to state a claim upon which relief can be granted because there is an obvious defense to what we did and what we said. So, Judge, you should dismiss this case outright, up front, get rid of it. It's not worth our time. That's what they filed, and the court denied
So basically, that means it's going on the trial. The court did not dismiss Dominion's lawsuit. It is going to trial now, and they requested a jury trial. So a jury out of Delaware is going to hear this case and decide whether or not Dominion can meet its burden to prove that Fox News defamed it.
unless they settle.
Unless they settle. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if Dominion is asking for $1.6 billion, maybe Fox can come up with that, or their insurance companies or whatever, so they may settle. But if not, it seems like, Chloe, you're right. This thing is going to trial.
Mhm.
Here's their 12B6 motion. And so it contains what they believe is the basis of why this case should have been dismissed. So let's look at some of that. Okay, there it is. It says preliminary statement. A free press must be able to report both sides of a story involving claims striking at the core of our democracy, especially when those claims prompt numerous lawsuits, government investigations, and election recounts. When a sitting president of the United States and his legal team challenge a presidential election in litigation throughout the nation, the media can truthfully report and comment on those allegations under the First Amendment without fear of liability. Plaintiff's defamation lawsuit against Fox News threatens to stifle the media's free speech right to inform the public about newsworthy allegations of paramount public interest. Okay, Fox strikes back, basically. What do you say
Yep.
about all that, Chloe?
They made a First Amendment claim, um, which is pretty powerful. And I want to read what the First Amendment says for people. The First Amendment says that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. So the First Amendment establishes what we commonly call, the free press, like our freedom of speech. It establishes a free press. So they came out the gate swinging. They came out the gate with, one of the most consequential amendments to the United States Constitution that we have. And that's why this lawsuit can reverberate if this goes to trial, because it could affect other media companies as well, you know, and affect the way that they report the news, and potentially maybe even limit, the free press rights of media companies under the First Amendment as well. So I think that Fox did that for a reason. I think they wanted to go broad, they wanted to go constitutional against Dominion, because Dominion just levied a state claim against Fox. Fox came back and said, no, under the First Amendment, under federal law, we had a right to publish both sides, especially what Fox is saying, especially if there's been lawsuits, etc., against Dominion in the past. So they came back swinging pretty hard.
So could you read the First Amendment again?
Yes. So Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So there's the freedom of religion we know, or abridging the freedom of speech, free speech, or of the press, free press, or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble, freedom of assembly, and to petition the government for redress of grievances.
And
That is the First Amendment to the
that's the
Constitution.
complete language.
I believe so. If not, let me.
I just want to
You
make
understand
sure.
that there's more?
No, no, I just want to make sure before I make this statement. We're not First Amendment attorneys.
No, we focus mostly on the 14th Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment.
Fourth Amendment. But anyway, here's all I'm saying. Let's assume that that's the complete statement. The very first word in the First Amendment is Congress. I see you're still looking, so let's see if
I just want to. I want to be accurate.
okay.
Yep. Congress shall make no law.
So that's the complete
That's
length.
what it starts off with.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Congress. I don't believe Dominion is Congress. And so the First Amendment specifically addresses Congress. Congress can't do thus and such. Okay? Congress can't abridge the First Amendment, free press, um, freedom of speech, religion. Dominion is not Congress. So I actually think that if you look at what Fox is saying here objectively, I think that is pretty weak. But I think what they're trying to do, again, and that's because this doesn't apply to Dominion. The First Amendment doesn't, it applies to Congress, it applies to the government. It doesn't apply to a private company. Um, not the way as attorneys, the U.S. Supreme Court will interpret the amendments and the statutes and so forth broadly many times and may find some reason to apply it to some private company. But I'm not aware of any case. Again, I'm not a First Amendment lawyer. But just taking it on its face, Dominion is not Congress. So what I think Fox is trying to get at here is basically a free press is a fundamental staple of our country. And so no one should, not just Congress, but no one should be able to stifle what a free press can report. So whether this is Congress or not, no one should be able to drag a news outlet into court and sue it for defamation because that will stifle the free press. So I think they're trying to trying to use this to make that point specifically, and I think it's pretty weak, quite frankly. I just don't see it. I don't know. I think it's kind of bad. Now I just got a text that says that it's really windy here, so like we said, the tornado watch is still out. So it seems like it may be getting worse. So we got our ears and eyes open on to that. So Chloe, we're gonna speed it up a little bit. I see you looking around. Is something going on with the weather?
It's very windy out here. Like you can
Okay.
kind of see
Wow.
winds twirling. I don't know
This
if we should make a part two.
okay. All right. So it's that bad. Let me just answer a quick question. One of the commenters asked, um, Mr. Corbett, what is a preliminary statement? And I think he or she 6'3", observing the facts. I think they're referencing um, the title preliminary statement in Fox's 12B6 brief. Well, it's just simply 6'3". It's just simply sort of a synopsis or a summary of what Fox intends to say in much more detail in its brief. Um, so this kind of just sums things up. We have in our briefs we say something very similar. We may not use preliminary statement. We may say something like um, summary of the arguments or introduction, something like that to kind of just, when judges read these things, they want you to get kind of to the point real fast and just kind of sum this up so I know what these 300 other pages are all about. so so give me something really simple to read and know exactly where we're headed with this. So it's like an introduction, sort of a short, brief summary of what is in the rest of the document. I'm sorry, I jumped because I heard something in my ear. I don't know. I don't hear or see the weather, but my wife just texted me and said it's really windy here. And Chloe, apparently it's really windy there. So I guess maybe a part two may be necessary. Ah, I wish we could go
Well,
on.
they would have something to look forward to because we haven't talked about the depositions, some admissions that Rupert Murdoch made, the rest of Fox News's defense.
Okay,
So
okay, okay. All right. So, man, man, man.
yeah, there's fire alarms going off.
Okay, so we're gonna end it here, you all. We got bad weather
Stay
here in
tuned
Texas.
for part two.
Yes, you all make sure. You all please make sure we watching the weather as this go on. Make sure we're gonna let you know we're gonna do part two maybe tomorrow or Saturday. There's so much more to cover with this lawsuit. Thank you all for tuning in so much. Listen, we love you all. We appreciate your support. Please share, comment, like, help us get the word out. There isn't a law firm based type channel on YouTube like the Defiant Lawyers. We appreciate your support. We're out of here. Peace.
Next time.
Thank you, Rodney. Mr. Williams said, great show. He'll be back.
Thank you.
6'3" says, peace. Peace to you as well. We're out. Bye.
Ever since I was a child, I've always hated bullies. I was that child. If I saw another kid getting picked on in class or at the lockers, I would stand up for that kid. I couldn't stand seeing bullying. But there was one incident with a teacher that almost silenced me. It is my first clear memory of racism and discrimination. It's still so vivid and clear in my head. I remember one day we were in class. Paint butterflies and flowers on our faces in anticipation of the school event. So we all went one by one up to her so that she could paint our face. When it was my turn to get my face painted, my teacher told me, I can't paint your face because your skin is too dark. I was mortified, embarrassed, and deeply ashamed. In that moment, even though I wanted to say something, I couldn't get the words out. So I walked back to my desk, I sat down, and I stared blankly at my desk until the bell rang. When I got home from school that day, my parents knew something was wrong. But I remember being so reluctant to tell them. I really don't know why. When I finally did, obviously they were furious. And let's just say the next day at school was one to remember. But this incident taught me a valuable lesson. It taught me to always stand up against racism, discrimination, and injustice. It fortified my resolve to fight for the vulnerable and voiceless. Just like my clients' voices are taken when they are wrongfully accused of a crime, subjected to banking while Black, fighting for custody of their children, or fighting for just compensation from stingy insurance companies. My name is Attorney Chloe Corbett, also known as the Duchess of Justice. I am one half of Corbett & Corbett Law Firm and the Defiant Lawyers. We're here to fight for justice for the accused, the oppressed, the vulnerable, and the voiceless. You can find us in Dallas, Texas. Go to our website, www.corbettfirm.com. Improving lives and impacting laws.